Let me ask you a question. What do you think the perfect, ideal routine is for working out? What do you think is the optimal routine to build up a physique? Most of the modern age fitness space is obsessed with this idea of a perfect routine or an optimal routine or something like that. What I found is that the perfect or ideal routine doesn't really exist, right? That's kind of just like a fiction. And the reason is because it's unique to every single person. All of us have different body types. All of us have different anatomies. All of us have different goals, different, starting places. All of us are different. Here's an example. So back in like the golden age of lifting, like the golden era of lifting, back when there was, legends like Arnold and Dorian Yates, they didn't all follow like an optimal routine, like a perfect routine to get jacked. First of all, most of them were on steroids, right? But a lot of times they just did like whatever felt best. For example, Arnold actually made his own split with, a dedicated arm day because he felt like his arms were small. Or Dorian Yates didn't exercise like everybody else. I actually watched a podcast with him in it just a few days ago, and he said he exercised like twice a week. He exercised so infrequently. Mike Mentzer is very famous for working out with as little volume, as little frequency as possible, basically as little as possible, and still making tons of progress. They all had wildly different routines, different styles of training, and guess what? At the end of the day, it didn't really matter. And this is the lesson for you, is that it doesn't matter exactly what split you do, exactly how your routine is. It doesn't matter if it matches someone else, if it matches the science-based lifter. As long as you enjoy it, it's effective for you, and it's convenient for you, and you just enjoy pushing yourself hard in it, then guess what? That is the perfect routine for you. In this video, I'm going to share my routine, what works best for me, and so guys that are out there that are like me will probably benefit from learning what I did. But I'm also going to walk you through what's important, the steps to create your own perfect, ideal routine, so that you can actually figure out what is best for you. The first and most important point to creating your ideal routine is to identify what your goals are, because everything else past this point is going to depend on what your goals are. You should go into the process of, creating your routine with your goals in mind. Now, for me, it has always been aesthetics, right? I've always wanted a V taper. So that has been my goal since the very beginning. And so I knew that if I'm to do that, then I need to plan out my routine so that I, target the right aesthetic muscles, and I just look good. I have a lean V taper, right? So that's one example, but maybe your goal isn't that. Maybe your goal is strength. Maybe your goal is to increase your endurance, your cardio. Maybe your goal is to increase your core strength and your balance. Whatever your goal is, keep it in mind, because planning out the rest of your routine is going to depend on that. Number two is to choose your split. How often are you going to be working out? And I would choose my split based on your schedule. How often can you work out? And don't bullshit yourself here, right? Because a lot of people will pretend like they don't have time. That's like the number one excuse is, oh, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to get an aesthetic physique. I don't have time to get stronger because I'm just busy. I have a busy schedule. If you go to the screen time on your phone in settings and it says over an hour on your phone, then you have time. So that's a bullshit excuse, right? But some people, they have really long work, they literally can't. Some people have other responsibilities. They literally can't go maybe 6 days a week like I like to. In that case, that's perfectly fine. You can choose a split that is 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 3 days a week. Remember I said that Dorian Yates, very famous bodybuilder, worked out kind of infrequently, like a couple times, like 2-3 times a week. and he was able to make a ton of progress, even though that was kind of counterintuitive. So there really genuinely isn't any excuse to you not getting jacked. I like doing the push-pull legs routine, repeated twice, rest on Sundays, because I enjoy going to the gym. I have the time to do it, so I always go 6 days a week and just have one day for reset and recovery. I've also found that because my goal is aesthetics and to get a V-taper, push-pull legs in most men seems to automatically build sort of a V-taper look in your upper body just because of kind of how it's organized and what it prioritizes. I will say, don't choose a routine that's just a few days a week just because you want more rest. If you can go 6 days a week, then you should, because that's just so good for you. It's really good for your system to get active every single day. By the way, if you are serious about getting an aesthetic physique and you are willing to invest in yourself, the top link in the description is my full program. That is basically all of my years and years of lifter knowledge put into a single course. It's very detailed, it's very value packed. It's more than I could put in a single YouTube video. And I share a lot of stuff there that I don't talk about on here, and it'll really just help you to achieve your goals. I would appreciate if you would just pause the video right now, go click the link, and then just watch the attached video to see if it's for you, because if it is for you and you don't check it out, then you are missing out. And if it just doesn't seem like it's the right time for you, like you can't afford it or whatever, I completely understand. I'm always going to keep making videos on this YouTube channel for free, so you can just close that tab and come straight back to this video. Thank you. Now that you know how many days per week you're going, you need to plan your workouts. And something important here is that you prioritize what's important. And this, again, will tie back to what your goal is, right? For example, my goal was always to get an aesthetic V-taper, right? To get more attractive. And so what I do is I almost always include extra sets or go extra hard on the aesthetic muscle groups, right? Shoulders, chest, getting a wide back, arms. And because of that, I've been able to build out a nice V-taper physique. As I've gotten stronger, as I've gotten bigger, I've developed a V shape that looks pretty aesthetic. And an easy way to do this is with whatever's important, you want to double. So let's say your goal is just to get better at like the core movements, the core compound exercises, the big three, right? Your bench, deadlift, squat. What you can do is spend twice as much time every workout day, your push day, your pull day, your leg day, focused just on those things, just on that bench or at that bar, right? At that squat rack. If you spend twice as much time, then yeah, those will develop better compared to everything else. But something else that's important is, as just a disclaimer, you don't want to leave anything else undeveloped because of that, right? Just because I'm focused on my upper body and an aesthetic V-taper doesn't mean that I've skipped leg day. The second thing here is you want to prioritize hitting all of the right angles. You don't just want to think about exercises like hitting a specific muscle, because there's a lot of different parts of muscles that need to be worked. For example, with shoulders, it's not just one muscle, but it's the anterior or the frontal head, the side and the rear, right? So when you're working shoulders, you need to make sure that you are working all three angles of the shoulder in some way. Similarly, legs are made up of a lot of different muscles, right? Your back is made up of a lot of different muscles. And so you need to think about, when you're writing out your routine, what are all the angles that you want to hit? Here's an example. When you're planning out your push day or whatever day you do chest, don't just hit chest as like one thing, right? You want to hit lower chest as well as upper chest, because those are the two biggest things. So when I do chest, I normally do chest dips where I'm on the dip machine and I lean forward. That really helps to work the lower and the outer chest, which makes my chest more broad. But I also hit some sort of incline movement every time I work chest to help to develop that upper shelf. So whereas before, my day where I worked chest might have just included 2 chest exercises, like 2 generic chest exercises, I now make sure that I work upper and lower. And similarly with something like back, I make sure that I work the upper back, right? The lats, the mid back, as well as the lower back. And see, you really want to pick exercises that you like. Everyone's going to try to sell you on what the best exercise is for a specific part of your body, a specific muscle or a specific angle, but it's really just up to what you like best. And like does not mean comfortable, by the way. Like means what you enjoy, but also what's most effective. I didn't do barbell back squats for the longest time because I was just scared of it, right? I stuck to leg press. But when I actually got into barbell back squats, that is when my legs grew the best. So even though I don't find barbell back squats, the squat rack, comfortable, I like it the best because it led to the most growth. It's difficult, it's hard, but I enjoy it. So when you're creating your routine, right, as long as you're still hitting all of the correct angles, you can pick exercises that you find the most enjoyable. Number 4 is that you should include failure at least somewhere in your routine. For a long time, I did not go until failure during any of my workouts. I just did my 10 reps and then I put the weight down. But that was a mistake because I was leaving so much growth on the table. Muscle growth is all about pushing your muscles outside of their comfort zone, right? Past their limits, and then your body, as a response, directs more energy, more growth towards that area so that it becomes bigger, right? That's just, it's adaptation. Sometimes sets that we do will feel difficult, but we won't actually be triggering growth because we put the weight down early, right? So the lactic acid is, going in your muscles, you're starting to feel the burn, but you haven't actually pushed your muscle outside of its comfort zone yet. So you get to the point where you're almost there, you're about to really push your muscle just past its limit, and then it stops. You put the weight down and your body's like, well, I guess we didn't need to improve that specific muscle because he put the weight down and it's fine, we could handle that. When you go until failure, when you include even just a little bit of failure during your workouts, that could be just one set, that could be one exercise where you take all sets until failure, you will get so much growth because you'll be constantly pushing your muscles outside of their comfort zone. Pick up a weight that you think that you can do your target number of reps for, right? 10, 8, whatever. But after you get to your 10 reps, after you get to your last rep, just keep going until your muscles give out. Don't listen to your brain as well. That'll try to tell you to stop or just put the weight down. Really go until muscular failure, not just mental failure. I try to go until failure on everything during my workouts, on every single set, but obviously that's difficult to do, but you should include it at least somewhere. And number 5 is you need to track your workouts and improve. It's very easy to not actually get stronger, not improve your numbers if you aren't keeping track of them. That's why I use a workout tracker app. It's basically just you put in your exercises, you put in the reps and the weight you did, and it remembers it for next time. I think an app is super convenient, but obviously you can just get a paper journal or whatever, bring it to the gym, as long as you're recording it somewhere. And then as you track every single workout, when you hit, let's say, push day again, right? Look back on the previous push day, look at your numbers, and try to improve in every exercise by at least 1 extra rep or adding 5 pounds to the bar. Obviously, you won't be able to achieve this every single time because muscle growth is slow and we need to be patient. What matters is that you try to improve, you try to progressive overload every single workout. The actionable step for this video is to take all of this and go into your notes app on your phone and write out a full routine, right? 3-day or 2-day, whatever it is. Write out every single day of your routine, the specific exercises you're going to do, how many reps you're going to do, and then mark I don't know, a little F beside the ones that you will go until failure on. And then every time you do a workout, just open that and check out what you're going to do and then just follow that plan. The reps and the specific exercises are going to, of course, depend on your goal and what angles you want to hit and what exercises that you like. But that's why it's important to think about this and write it down. When you write down a routine and you follow it consistently, that's when you start actually working out like a professional, right? You start treating your training like it's serious. And that's when you're gonna make serious progress as well. Thank you so much for watching. You should subscribe if you enjoyed this, because I make a ton of videos about just getting an aesthetic physique, training in general. Thank you so much. Go watch this video. Goodbye.